Okay, in this video I'm going to be talking to you about the effects of and uses of flaps. As you can see here, the flaps are the things on the back of the wings. What they're mainly used for is for increasing lift. It does this by increasing the mean camber line, the angle at which the overall curvature of the wing. It increases that, and it also changes the chord line as well. So by increasing the mean camber line, it as the air goes under the wing, it is pushed down by the flap, and every action has an equal and opposite reaction, so the wing, the aerofoil, is pushed up, giving you more lift, which is what you want from it. With the lift comes a disadvantage, which is more drag, which is why you don't see planes flying at full speed with full flap. So what this means is that the further you increase the flap, so down to 30 degrees with a Cessna if you want, that's going to have a lot more drag than a clean airframe. Drag increases proportionally more than lift the more you increase the angle of the flap. So what that means is at 10 degrees you're going to have quite a bit more lift. You're going to have much more lift and a bit more drag. At 20 degrees you're going to have about 50% more lift and about 50% more drag than, say, 10 degrees. And at 30 degrees you're going to have, these are just made up figures, 25% more lift than 20 degrees and 60% more drag than at 20 degrees. So what that means is that on takeoff you want either a clean takeoff or 10 degrees flaps. Normally that's 10 degrees flaps. Of course it depends on what aircraft you're flying. I'm using the Cessna as an example here. At 10 degrees flaps you have the best lift to drag ratio. So what that means is that you'll take off, if you put them down to 30 degrees, you will take off earlier. So this is 30 degrees here. You'll take off earlier than you would at 10 degrees, but once you actually get in the air you'll have a much worse climb rate. That's because of the extra drag. So you'll get off the ground sooner because of your extra lift, but you'll climb much slower. If you're at 10 degrees, which is here, then you'll get off the ground later, but once you're actually in the air you'll climb much faster because you're managing to reach the high speeds required for that best glide speed. The best climb speed even. So me showing that, so 10 degrees flaps. So the flaps increase lift, so you'll want flaps for takeoff and of course for landing, which is when you're going to be wanting to go as slow as possible. Because flaps increase drag, it's okay to have a lot of flaps when landing. That's because you don't particularly need to be reaching a speed when you're coming into land, you just need to be maintaining the landing speed or approach speed. So as you lower the flaps you can just increase the thrust generated from the engines and you can maintain that speed whilst increasing your lift, and your desired speed can be much lower because of the extra drag you're getting from full flaps. I mean the extra lift you're getting from full flaps. So the effects of them. Yeah, I'm going to show you a clean climb. This is 70 knots ish, 75 knots, and I'm getting 1,200 feet per minute climb. Now if I were to, well, okay, if you increase lift from your wings you're going to increase your rate of climb initially. So what that means is that your aircraft will pitch up. So in order to counter that you're going to have to pitch down, otherwise you'll just stall because of the extra drag you'll get, as well as the extra angle. Your higher pitch, you'll also be decreasing speed in that way as well. So as you lower flaps you're going to decrease pitch, otherwise you'll just stall and bad things will happen. So now going to 30 degrees flap, You can see this, I'm pitched up completely there, so I need to pitch down to counter that. And if you recall, I was climbing at a comfortable 1,200 feet per minute with no flaps, but now with 30 degrees flap, I'm barely making 500. It's more like 200-300 feet per minute at 70 knots. Yeah, 500. So you can see why you want only 10 degrees flap on takeoff. It's 10 degrees and not clean, because the extra flap will get you off the ground sooner, which helps. So I'll show you the effect of just lowering it in normal flight as well. So this is now trimmed. I'm going to increase the flaps, and this is now pitching back by itself just because of the extra lift generated by the wings, and if you don't pitch down, you'll stall. So that's that done. Increasing the flaps also, because it increases your lift, will increase the speed decrease the speed at which you'll stall. So you'll notice here that the green arc ends before the white arc. That's because at the end of the green arc, that's the speed at which you'll stall if you're clean, and 40 knots is roughly the speed at which you'll stall if you have full flap, which is what you want to be looking out for if you're coming into land, because that's pretty much the only time when you'll be at full flap and going fairly slowly. So that flap's done. If you have any comments or suggestions, leave them below.